Welcome to Faithful to the Traitors podcast. I'm Ben, and I'm a faithful.
I'm Alex, and I'm also a faithful.
Are you?
Are you?
Am I?
It's the cat.
No. It's Claudia Winkleman.
That would be a twist. Wow, what a way to start a
Claudia
podcast.
Winkleman will murder the finalist and take all the money.
Murder for real, yeah. Her commission for doing the show. Yeah, the Traitors.
Mm-hmm.
What a... Oh.
I'm in my hood.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. Even though I'm a faithful. I'm shadowed in darkness. And we are here to talk about the British version, the United Kingdom version of The Traitors.
You don't sound sure, but yes.
Which one is it? Is there an Irish version coming out soon?
I don't know. I don't think so. I looked on Wiki.
It's set in Scotland, so not a Scottish version, I guess.
But Scotland is part of the UK, so I would hope not.
Yeah, so, but I can't say British. No, English. The English version.
Yeah, you can say British,
okay,
or you can say UK version. I would stick to UK
British
version.
Oh.
The UK version. Northern Ireland will be okay. And then, how have we got into geography over a podcast about the Traitors? Let's talk about the Traitors. Ben.
Yes.
So, I heard about the Traitors because I saw a couple of trailers and then I did a bit of research and saw that it was originally a Dutch version, very popular Dutch version. Mm-hmm. Not so hot in Australia, so I was a bit worried.
I've heard the Australian one's most similar to this version.
No, I've read all over Twitter. People have said the Australian version should be changed to be more like the UK version. The UK version is much better. Also, in other versions, they wear masks. The Traitors wear masks, little gold masks.
Well, instead of hoods.
Well, they have hoods too, but the hoods don't quite droop over their faces quite as much as they do in the UK version. I do love those cloaks. If they were clever, they'd release them for Halloween. I want to dress as a traitor next year.
Merch.
It's the new Squid Games, which really the Traitors kind of is, isn't it? It reminds me a little bit of Squid
vibes to it, yeah.
Doesn't it just? It reminds me a little bit of Squid
Killing each other, murder.
In order to win a big cash prize. And the big cash pot adds up each week. And I think it's so clever that at the beginning of every time they do the round table, Claudia reminds them of how much money they're... which also then must play in their head is like, we're playing for this money. And that's
Unlike Squid Game, there's not a physical pot in the
piggy
castle.
bank flying above them.
Maybe Series 2 budget will allow.
They showed them the gold tokens, didn't they, on the table, right at the top of the show, right at the top of episode 1.
Did, yeah, gold coins.
But they never showed it since. So, yeah, I mean, Claudia... Can we talk about Claudia Winkleman as well?
Yes.
She is the perfect match for this show. It works so well.
I wasn't too sure, because she's normally a bit of a nice, fun presenter. But obviously on the Traitors, it needs to be a bit more ruthless. And she was ruthless from the start.
She shouts at them.
Yeah, she's kind of playing a character, I remember you said to me when we were watching it. She's kind of like a Crystal Maze presenter, where she's playing that evil, nasty character.
A bit like Anne Robinson from The Weakest Link. Like she doesn't, but then not really like her, because Anne Robinson didn't want them to really win. But I think Claudia Winkleman wants them to win, but she also stirs the pot.
Do you want the Traitors to win or the Faithfuls? That's the thing. You kind of root for the Traitors, even though you shouldn't really.
I mean, being a traitor is the best part, isn't it? Let's be honest. If you were on that show, and I think when they chose the Traitors, which we'll break down through all the contestants maybe in a second, but when Claudia did the audition for who she was going to choose, or the producers are going to choose, let's be honest, who was going to be the traitors, I think they all wanted to be traitors. That's why you went on the show. That's the fun
You get most
part.
screen time as well, I feel, if you're a traitor. You get to do the most. You get little trips out every night. You get to murder people. It's funny how they use the terminology like kill and murder and dead.
Which I don't hate it though. I love it. It just makes it feel a little bit more real, weirdly. I don't know why. Does.
Okay, so obviously the show is set in Scotland. It's 22 contestants and they're on their way to the castle. 3 of them are traitors, the rest of them are faithfuls, and the traitors murder someone each night. The faithfuls have to try and pick out the traitors, and no one knows who's who.
That's the premise of the show.
It is. And did you want to talk about the contestants then? Because there were 22 for a very short amount of time.
I loved that. I adored the beginning, because I'd heard about this before we'd watched the episode, and I said to you, you're going to love the beginning, because it's just, it sets up what the show is about.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, oh no, this isn't like you're here for a spa weekend and you're all going to get along. This is it's not a reality show. This is a game.
It's a reality game show.
Yeah. So that's what set it off. Where they it's that thing that they do on a lot of shows like this, where they say, "Oh, put popular to least popular, stand in a row and see what you all think." And obviously the two guys.
I mean, I felt
they sort of switched at last minute, didn't they? And were like, "Oh, we'll go to the end then."
Well, I felt the one I felt most sorry for was it Dr. Amos?
Yes.
And he was kind of like playing around with it and thought of it as a bit of a joke. And
he became friends with Andrea. They were hugging already on the train.
Put Andrea at the front saying, "Oh, I know Andrea's going to be the best.
Yeah, my pal. She'll look after me for the rest of the competition."
But it's like Claudia said, everything has a purpose. So you mustn't just think of it as in, this is just a game, this is something we can have a bit of fun with. Everything has a reason for happening. And unfortunately, as you said, they had to line themselves up from the top being who you think's most likely to win to the bottom who's least likely to win. And Kieran and Amos put themselves at the bottom.
Kieran was so pissed off though.
Kieran
his face,
was
both of them, when Claudia
mad.
said, "Well, we're going to take you for your word and you can go immediately," and he was just stood there and didn't say anything. But you could tell how annoyed. But I'd be annoyed if I'd like gone through all the auditions and taken time off and then gone there and literally within 5 minutes of filming you're like, sent home.
Bye. Yeah.
I do wonder if they're not actually gone though.
You kept saying that, didn't you? Because there's the terminology they kept using.
Yeah, she said, "I want you to evacuate the premises immediately." Didn't kill them. Didn't get murdered
or eliminated.
So I'm wondering if they will sort of come back and maybe they'll be told this person's a traitor or something. I don't know.
I wonder if they'll come back as a traitor, but from looking from the outside in. You know what I mean? But I suppose that wouldn't really work with the kind of prize money, because obviously the traitors would win, and it wouldn't be fair if they came back.
Why not?
I suppose it's not a fair game.
They could come back and they could say, if you can pick out a traitor, you replace them, maybe, and then they'll get their chance back. It did feel very unfair for those two, but
then I did love it. I sat there and I watched it. And
that's what Boris says.
Yeah, I mean, we should have said we're talking about episodes 1 to 3 as well on this podcast.
Yeah, because they released them as a box set, didn't they, to gain up hype around the country. And then from then on, it's an episode a day for 3 days a week,
which we'll be then releasing. So we'll be doing an episode every time.
Yeah,
it's aired on the BBC.
Every time someone's banished,
we'll be there ready for it. So of the 3 episodes, then they play a game. They play a mission.
Yeah, that's to get their money up.
That's how they get their money up. So there were 3 missions, obviously, because there's been 3 episodes. One was to light an effigy by connecting ropes that's been doused in gasoline.
Yes.
And then the other team had
together and they had to row a boat with a flame
to get the flame to then light it.
I feel that challenge was more spectacle, like we can put this in the trailer because there's a big bit of fire.
Which they did. They did put it in the trailer too.
There you go.
with the drone shot as it flew around it. But
I do wonder if the challenges are a bit easy, because they seem to be winning like all the prize money.
I think they're doing it because there's going to be a moment when they're going to then half the prize money or something like that. They're going to say, like, you need to do this, this, and this, and if you don't do it, then we're going to halve it. Or, I think you suggested this, they give the faithful an opportunity to learn maybe about a traitor, but they will lose half the prize money.
Charge a price for some clues or something.
It's a price to pay for.
I was wondering as well, maybe if you're a traitor, because the traitors seem to have it easy, like, because they can't be murdered unless they murder themselves, which would be really weird. And I was wondering, maybe they should have like a thing where during the missions they have to sabotage it and they have their own pot.
I wondered that too.
Because like at the moment, there's no reason for the traitors not to help.
Well, of course not, because they're winning the money from the same pot.
They should have like their own separate pot, and like if they sabotage, they get the money, the lost money, into their own like thing. Maybe.
The difficult thing with that though is it's very difficult to sabotage something without it looking obvious.
Well, exactly, because the traitors have it quite easy. All you have to do is pretend to be friendly.
You say they have it easy, but
although if you are too friendly, you then get called out, like poor Aaron did in episode 3. So maybe it's not so easy. But I guess as the tensions grow. Like the tiniest little thing can make you sort of stand out.
I mean, the problem for Aaron though is that he was getting picked on, but he was wrongfully getting picked on, and that's what seems to happen on the show quite a lot too. It's herd mentality. As soon as one person starts saying something in during the table, the round table, they all start jumping on it and thinking, oh, actually, that's a good
It's
pun.
because really they have nothing to go on. That's why. So you are literally just like, well, I'll just go for you because you picked up a glass funny or something like.
Aaron was being picked on. I'm sorry, but Aaron was getting proper picked on. And
You're skipping over the other ones that have been murdered first.
Well, yes, that was but Aaron hasn't been murdered yet.
No.
Aaron, but all I'm saying is Aaron got picked on by John because John thought that he was odd for asking him questions about the job that he did.
A masseur.
Well, no, it's not masseur, is it? It's like body montage specialist.
Culture,
super culture or something like that. John got right up my goat. You know, he really, and it was so unnecessary the way he attacked him as well. And
I mean, John got because on the third mission was the fairground one, wasn't it? Where they were on that roundabout, and he got voted the most likely to be faithful or the most trustworthy or something like that.
The one who's least likely to be, I think
something
right,
like that. It was something good, and obviously that really went to John's head, and he was like, "Oh, well, I can go around and say whatever I want now because everyone's going to believe whatever I say."
But this is it. People are, and it's getting a bit. I don't like it, and I think John might get unstuck if he carries on with this.
I mean, it's incredible how quickly it's turned to chaos.
It really
within
has.
3 episodes, literally turned
3
to
days.
chaos.
3 days it's turned into. But I think that's the thing. If you're in this very intense environment and you've got you're constantly thinking that you're being tricked, you're going to feel like you need to watch your back all the time, and you're going to be very accusational toward people. And I just hope that the care team for the contestants are good enough that they look after them because
it's BBC, so I'm sure it's very good.
I'm sure they are, but some of them are getting broken. But so who are the traitors? I think we need to.
Yes, because they all they had blindfolds on, didn't they? And Claudia Winkleman / production team chose the 3 people who were going to be traitors.
Well, they were all sat around the table.
Based
they all
on
had the blindfolds.
a one-to-one interview with Claudia.
They did a one-to-one interview, and you saw clips of that interview, or the interview process, and then Claudia / production crew chose who the 3 traitors were going to be. It was a bit like a game of Duck, Duck, Goose.
And people want to be traitors because in every single one of those interviews, they were like, yeah, I'd be a good traitor. Pick me. Not one person was like, oh, no, I'd rather be a faithful, which is interesting.
That is interesting because if you're a faithful, then you're more inquisitively minded. And I would have thought that
you could easily get killed if you asked too many questions in the night.
That's true. Well, again, look at poor old it happened to was it Aaron? Aaron, it happened to because he was asking too many questions to John.
Yeah, he's not been eliminated yet, but he's now on everyone's suspicion. I mean, even Nikki, when the first one who got she got taken out around the round table, didn't she?
But that was the herd mentality, though.
And that was the comedian woman, Hannah. She was like, oh, yeah, I think it's you. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, yep. I was like, okay.
But this is what I mean. So it's like you kind of go on the show, and I would have thought you've gone in the process of kind of because they were all saying when they were on the train, they said, "Oh, this is very Agatha Christie. This feels like a murder mystery." And so you'd think that a lot of them would prefer to do the mystery side, the kind of inquisitive, the investigative side. But maybe they see being a traitor as the easy way of winning.
Well, it's only 3 of you sharing the money that way instead of whoever's left.
Well, not necessarily, because Claudia did say that they may add more along the road, and so there might be more. Eventually, there'll just be everyone's a traitor but one person. That'd be a very cool game to play.
I mean, so did you want to then talk about? We've had on the first episode, it was no one went, did they? But they picked a murder at the end of it, and that was Aisha, who was a bit. I didn't warm to her straight away. She was a bit off and didn't seem to really want to be there. So
yeah,
she was like a social media manager or something, wasn't she?
I think she saw it. I think maybe she went there not knowing what the show was. she looked a bit like confused by the whole...
Because people were like talking to her on the sofa, like, "Oh, what do you think about this, and that?" And she went, "Yeah." I was like, okay, all right, fantastic input, thank you.
But it's good because then she got then murdered, so that was fine. I mean, to be fair, I don't think the group felt that was much of a loss. The second murder, who was Claire, the group that was a loss
because Claire was the police.
She was the police officer, former police officer.
Yes, and she was very
social
good
media.
At spotting if people were lying, but no one knew she was a police officer. But they kind of got rid of her because they knew she was going to be trouble and going to be clever, and it was a bit random. Just
funnily enough, she was asking a lot of questions and kind of pointing the finger at people and giving reasons for why.
But in the right way. She was doing it in a way that didn't get up people's backs, I guess.
Apart from the traitors, of course, because the traitors saw her as a threat, so then kind of brought her back and got
I think
her
it was
murdered.
a shame she went so early. I thought it would have been quite interesting to have someone who's used to interviewing people to be on there, but no, she's off, murdered,
dead to us all.
Yeah, and then Nikki was banished, wasn't she, around the table, and that was incorrect.
So
When
Nikki
they were trying to get
they
tried to find a traitor out at that point, and they never do so far.
Well, they haven't so far. I mean, the odds of them finding a traitor is slimmer than accusing the
3
wrong
in 20.
person. Yeah, but there you go. And I felt for Nikki. I feel like a little part of me was that the group chose, or at least one or two people chose Nikki because they asked her, well, you live with your mum and dad, you're a single parent. Would you spend the money on moving out, getting your own place? And Nikki kind of said, no, I'd spend it on getting a bionic hand.
No, that's even more. I felt sorry for her.
Well, I thought, but I felt like the group kind of some of the group felt like, well, that's a stupid reason to spend the money. You know what I mean? And so that kind of gave them the reason for then why they maybe went for her. It's the littlest things, isn't it? It's the most silly things for why people choose.
She was the one where the traitor Alyssa, she was like, oh yeah, you didn't raise your glass. And she was like,
That's
I have
right.
one hand. That's
Yes.
why.
It would have meant stretching to the left-hand side to raise my glass. Which
And all the people around the table were like, oops,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
we just voted you off, and no, you can't continue your life.
I mean, I think there's also the argument, as I was saying, like I think it's already starting that people are beginning to vote for people who they just don't like as well. Look at Theo and Imran. They had a real
Imran's
bitter
a really
rivalry
odd thing,
between
isn't
them.
it? Like Imran's been like under suspicion from like the first night, and it's like, well, he's not really done anything to warrant that. I don't think he's a bit quiet. They keep saying, but then if someone asks him any questions, they're killing them off as well. So
Yeah.
I feel a bit sorry for Imran.
I felt sorry for Imran. I think again he pointed out that he felt like in the first challenge when they had to row the boat to the effigy to burn it, that it was unfair that there was a younger team
that
and there was an
upset
older
John
team.
as well, didn't it?
And that upset John as well. Do you not think John?
49-year-old John was like, I don't think that's very fair.
This makes me think though. John's got a bit of power there. John's really
He has,
got
because he's the one
got
that
a bit
everyone
of-
said they trusted the most. But I think that will soon be undone if he's too cocky.
Is he going power mad? Is it going to go to his head too much? That
But
then, as you
it's
say-
quite useful for the traitors because they can kind of play on that, and maybe he is a traitor, make people think that. So they're probably going to keep him in.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that people are going to start thinking that the way he's acting makes him more like a traitor. But yeah, I mean, there's groups now where people are beginning to people don't like other people. So as I say, Theo and Imran, there was genuinely something between them that I don't think they liked each other very much.
No.
And that's why they voted for each other. And again, I think that down the line could happen. And then with John especially, I think John's not, he seems to be influencing the right people. Like Maddie seems to listen to what he says, and the comedian seems to
Well, she's
listen.
got it all worked out, Maddie.
Maddie cracks me up because she
One episode of EastEnders, Maddie.
she was in one episode of EastEnders. She seems to know she's at least got one of
she's
the
on
traitors
the
right.
right lines, isn't she? She's like 50% correct most of the time, which is quite good odds with this. Because she's suspecting Wilfred, who is actually a traitor.
Yeah.
So that's the first time
Poor
that's
Wilfred.
actually been caught out, because he got very emotional when they got rid of Claire, the policewoman. That's when he was crying around the table in the morning at the breakfasts, and that's when John was a bit suspicious. Like, why are you so emotional if
again,
you're
John.
not? Yeah.
Why
I mean, John's got a point. He said to Aaron, this is a game. And that is what you do kind of have to remember.
Oh, I get that. I totally get that. But I just think that John is a bit more aggressive than others. I think everyone else is kind of saying with respect.
He is getting the
with
villain
respect.
edit, to be fair.
Yeah, but maybe he is getting edited badly.
He's getting a villain edit. But because I heard that the Australian one, they treat it a lot more like a game, where there's not much like crying and hugging and friendships. And obviously the British one, straight away within 2 episodes, it's quite emotional already. That's with
because
everyone
we're
breaking down.
a better country.
So that's stiff upper
I'm
lip.
joking. Any Australian listeners?
That stiff upper lip for all these years has just broken us.
It's broken
on,
us into
reality
bits.
shows.
Who of the 3 traitors is your favourite one? And may I start by saying Alyssa? because I love Alyssa, and I love the moment when Claudia Winkleman said, "Are you happy to be a traitor?" And she gleefully, with so much joy in her childlike face, went, "Yeah." I love that so much.
Yeah, she's really good because she's really good at sitting around and keeping quiet in a group, but also she's really good at planting seeds, because when Wilfred started getting his name mentioned by Maddie, she quickly latched on to the fact that a few people questioned Aaron and really pushed it around the table. And then all of a sudden, everyone was then saying Aaron, who wasn't before. And she said, I have your back. I'm going to take your name out. And yeah, she did. She's really good. And Amanda's really good as well.
I like Amanda.
Because she's like the friendly mum.
Yeah.
And her Welsh accent really helps
Yeah.
her be friendly and trustworthy. And she kind of just sits back and listens and adds in a, yeah, every now and then. And that's all you kind of need to make people not sort of question you.
It's funny because I agree with you. And
I'm not a fan of Wilfred.
Wilfred is the weakest link. He is by far the weakest link. And at the end of the third episode, instead of them choosing who was going to be murdered, they had to choose 3 people that they were going to watch.
They're going on trial, aren't they?
And they're going on trial. But they can also choose themselves. And I think the best move they could do right now, because Wilfred is under a lot of suspicion, is by putting Wilfred up.
Yeah, but he's so performative. I don't know if...
He wears his heart on his sleeve.
I'd put John on trial because he would be really dangerous asking questions and convincing everyone. So I would put him on trial as one of the 3.
But then I think John would. I think John would see that as a reason to do more, to kind of push and push and push. But no, I think Wilfred should definitely go on trial. I think, and this isn't being cruel, but I think Aaron should be put on trial as well. Just to kind of.
I don't know if he'd cope.
Well, because I think then that would, for me, Aaron obviously wouldn't know this, but if I was a traitor, I would then hope that other people would think, well, Aaron can't be a traitor then, because he's not,
traitors can put themselves up.
Yeah, but they might not be told this information. We don't know. Claudia might, but what we know is that 3 people are going to be put up on trial. And so I just think to settle Aaron down a little bit, because poor Aaron, I think he was
literally having a panic attack, and John was like, "Why did you do that?"
Yeah, why did you leave?
You can choose.
I know, he's so cruel. John.
It was really horrible.
Cruel guy.
So, yeah, hopefully they'll be in stocks with the heads and arms poking out for 10 minutes.
What, for the whole day?
No, while they're on trial. There's also the 2 contestants who have a secret together.
The relationship.
Yes,
Alex and Tom.
So they're in a relationship, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're kind of keeping it quiet for gameplay purposes for now. And obviously Matt has sort of latched on to Alex.
Yes.
No one's latched on to Tom though, that I found.
He's a good looking lad.
He said he was a magician and everyone kind of was like,
It's funny because I'm surprised he said he was a magician, because you could argue that's it. He's good at tricking. He's good at tricking people. So I'm surprised.
He didn't say he was a successful magician though.
No, he's a rubbish magician. But it's funny that Tom and Alex have gone in and not told anyone about their relationship, because they're worried that people wouldn't trust them if they were a couple.
Which is fair.
You
probably wouldn't, would you?
Would you? I would trust them more.
Because it's a shame one of them wasn't chosen to be a traitor.
That's my point. If they were a couple, then I think it would be it would be obvious if one of them had then been chosen as a traitor. And I think that if they straight away said, right, we are a couple, I think then that would have put trust into the group more. But then maybe that's just me.
Well, they said on the end of episode 3 there was the little trailer for next episode, and it looks like he does announce to everyone that they are together now.
I mean, we'll talk about it on the next episode, but I mean, the reaction from Alex, I think, speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think the BBC were clever to put these 3, because I think from episode 4 onwards, it's obviously
when it's
goes a bit crazy.
Yeah, the fire starts to burn. We should also say that a lot of the group seemed to be going for Faye as well. Faye has escaped twice on the round table. People, they bring it up, but they never go any further than that. And for Faye, again, she can't hide her reactions.
Even on the fairground ride, she every single negative question was Faye.
Yeah,
for some reason,
she got really upset with it.
Quite mean, but she's still there at least. Better than Imran, he's gone. So
yeah, it just feels so unfair with Imran. But it's funny how you get to know the group so quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, because when I heard it was like 20 people, it's like, oh God, that's a lot. But they whittled the first lot down quite fast, I suppose. But I don't know, there's people like Meryl, who's kind of not doing much. Like, she hasn't said much or done much, but she seems to be quite popular within the group.
Yeah, but then I think, again, she's playing it almost the opposite of how John's played it, and that is that I think she knows that people like her, and so she's kind of just fading into the middle ground. Because again, that was mentioned right at the top of the show. People were saying, like, I'd rather be seen as like just there rather than kind of, because I suppose you want to be in the background until it gets to like the final 10.
Yeah, and
then you start setting your
same with Andrew
stall
as well. She's kind of kept back a bit. Like, she's let Amanda take on the mother role, which maybe people thought she would have done. But
what about
I also
Ryan?
don't trust Hannah as either. The comedian.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's... See, this is my point. It's not that... no offence to Hannah, but on the show so far, she's not really done anything to make me like her. She's been a very standoffish, aggressive. She tells jokes which aren't particularly funny.
She thought she had Nikki all under wraps, and then it was proved incorrect.
Yeah, and well, twice she's been the instigator for accusations. Twice she's been wrong, and then at the end she slammed her fist on the table and went, "I'm getting sick of this." And it's like, well, you're the one who starts these, really.
I mean, it's difficult because they keep going like, we're going to base this on evidence, and it's like, there is no evidence. But like, literally, there is no way to tell.
This is it. They're scratching for anything that could be evidence. Anything and everything. Look, Nikki not lifting her glass up was seen as evidence because she's not showing her allegiance to the faithful. It's just. I want to talk also about Ryan, because he got voted in the fairground task as being the one who's the most quiet, the one who's kind of
the most forgettable,
character. Again, do you think that's a game?
He is very forgettable. I can't really.
Is that a game for Ryan? Because he's never mentioned by people, and he's never the one at the round table who ever puts any kind of input.
It's what you need
either.
for this show. I think you just need like a bit of a forgettable face, like, so people just kind of dismiss you, and you can kind of just get on with things in the background. I guess is what you need, because like the first one who got murdered, Aisha, she was like a social media person, big personality, and they're always the ones that seem to be going first. So maybe it's an advantage to sort of fade in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the only one who's really been the big personality who's died. The rest of them have kind of not.
The other one is Alex, but people seem to like her.
I don't mind Alex. Alex is cool. I like Alex. I actually like both, Alex and Tom. I like them both.
And there's the writer who is his name Ivan, I think his name is.
Ivan, the children's book writer.
Yeah.
But he's a children's games writer, he said. So
because he was like, I'm going to start playing games on the other side or something. That's why
instead of making games, I'm going to start playing the games. He's one of those kind of guys who kind of throws a bomb in and then steps back and just watches the eruption around him. Every now and then he says something and then kind of just steps back and then watches what people are saying.
All the young guys are kind of just being kept in by the traitors because they're good at the challenges, basically.
Do you think?
Like some people are being kept in because they're good at the missions, rather than anything else.
Ivan was good at the bell ringing one because he was the only one who recognised all the songs. Yeah. Do you think that's what they're thinking about the money? So they're thinking about keeping the younger ones in.
That's why they're all there, isn't it? They need to get that money.
You're very like Imran. Then you're accusing them of deliberately keeping a younger skew of
I'm a faithful.
contestants.
I've said it.
Are you a faithful? Not sure. Not sure at all.
But no, the last round table bit was like the most dramatic of the 3 episodes. Where,
it was.
Aaron had to leave and all the arguing with John, and then
John talked. We keep coming back to John and Aaron, and I feel like
the biggest moment of the 3 episodes
so far. Yeah, John did talk poor old Aaron down as well, didn't he? He kept talking him down. He kept talking over him, but then got really stressed when Aaron tried to retaliate, explain himself, and he'd be like, "Let me talk. Let me talk."
That's what I mean. He's very who's the Big Brother 1 person who got thrown out?
Nasty Nick.
No, he's very nasty Nickish the way he talks. I feel so.
He wants to get himself a brand deal, does he? But Yeah, I mean, do you like the round table moments, or do you sit there kind of? It reminds me a little bit of The Apprentice when they get the 3 contestants and they all argue it out about why they should
fight
stay.
for their life.
Basically, fight for their life. But this is a bit different because they're kind of fighting to prove that they're not. Instead of fighting to say why they should stay, they're fighting to prove that they're not a traitor.
And they keep getting it wrong, so they need to do a different tactic, I feel. What I would do is I would say, I would make, before the round table starts, I would say every single person say you're a faithful. I'd get every single person to say it.
But they tried that
Every
with
time.
Imran, remember? They
No,
said
but every single person.
Yeah, but Imran said he wouldn't lower himself to do that. He said, I'm not going to lower myself.
Where did that
and
leave
prove
Imran?
Well, that's true. Imran then got eliminated. But you're right. I think that's...
But you could sort of look in everyone's eyes, every single person who does it every night, and just, I don't know, see something. Because there's no way to get evidence, as they keep talking about, because there is none. Especially when Alyssa's so good at playing the game.
It's finding little moments when people are whispering to one another, isn't it? It's finding...
Well, Wilfred walked past Maddie and...
Yeah.
I can't remember who she was whispering to. Tom, I think it was. And he just walked past like, hi. And he's like, no, you need to sort of pay attention to these.
Yeah, but Wilfred doesn't really, does he?
Oh,
Because
no.
Wilfred's a traitor.
Well, they should have seen that.
That's
and been
evidence.
Like,
yeah.
Why is he? You didn't question me.
Yeah, he literally walked past and Tom went, all right. And then he went, yeah. And then started... This is the thing with Wilfred. I feel so sorry for him. My heart bleeds for him a little bit because I think
he acts the tough man, doesn't he? But
well, no,
he's
he
like
doesn't.
very...
That's the thing. Well, he like...
To begin with, he said, he was like, oh yeah, I'll be great at this.
Yeah.
And then he was really emotional. And then when they went to the thing at midnight, all 3 of them, he was like, I did that on purpose. So when I'm not emotional tomorrow, it looks like I've changed.
Did you believe him when he said that?
No.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. I feel like he was trying to just... Because he's worrying now. He's getting anxiety thinking that the other 2 traitors are ganging up against him. So poor Wilfred thinks that all the faithful know it's him, and all the 2 traitors think are basically going to throw him under the bus,
blowing it.
Yeah, and so Wilfred's he's put himself in a very difficult situation, and my heart hurts for poor Wilfred, but at the same time, he's always kind of jolly and happy and kind of like, he seems to be there for a bit of a laugh and to get away from his kids for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? So I don't think
he's never been abroad.
He's never been abroad. He wants to take the kids away. I think Wilfred hasn't got long. I really don't.
No, I think if he messes up if he's up for like the judgment challenge on the next episode, I think he's gonna just crack, or he may just crack and be like, admit he's a traitor and leave because it's too much.
The other thing is that they brought it up in episode 3 that they thought Aaron was upset because. And Aaron and Wilfred are traitors because Wilfred had voted for Aaron. So Aaron was upset because he had voted for one of their own. And so it makes you think, what's going to happen if that happens to Wilfred? If that happens to Wilfred, we shouldn't say it will. But I do think those women, I think they could be quite... I do think they throw him under the bus. If he does it, if he keeps going the way he's going and he's not doing a great job of being a traitor, then I think they'd have every right to give it a go. And then those meetings,
could easily say something to someone and be like, "I suspect him."
Yeah,
and then,
that's what I'm saying.
And then not tell him they actually said that. Yeah, I would. I'd probably get rid of the. When one traitor goes, you get replaced with another one. Then
we don't know. Because it's not come to that yet.
If you get to choose, I would choose John. And see how he suddenly changes. Yeah, because I'd love to see how he suddenly changes because he's so cocky being a faithful. I'd love to see what he then is like when he's not.
True, but I think he wouldn't be able to. I don't think he'd be able to hide it because he's played this game as a faithful, and as soon as the table turns, I don't think John would be able to do the.
That's what would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see if people notice his sudden change of tact or what.
He might. That's interesting. Poor old John.
We don't know how the show works yet. That's the joys of.
Well, we do. This is
Series
it's such
1.
such a simple premise, but there might be a few more things thrown in, I guess, and so we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, they love their twists, Studio Labert, don't they? So
the production company that make this.
Mel B will be in there soon.
What, behind a wall, manipulating them. Celebrity. Oh, well, they'll make a celebrity version, won't they? If this is popular, there's going to be a celebrity version. Which celebrities would you have in a celebrity version of the Traitors?
Dawn French.
Would you? Oh, I don't think she'd do very nice. I don't think she could do something like this. But then I didn't think Claudia Winkleman could be the way she is. Look at it.
Tess Daly.
Yeah,
Robot.
Des Daly would, she wouldn't last long.
Susan Boyle.
Simon Cowell's face. I tell you who would be good. Remember that guy from Pineapple Dance Studios?
Oh, Louis. I don't know if he'd be able to keep his cool.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. He'd be good for that.
Let's not talk about Celebrity Virgins yet.
No.
Let's
Not
wait
yet.
Series 3 at least for that.
Oh,
Usually.
you say that. You wait. If this takes off, they'll be there. But yeah, so a really exciting series ahead, I think.
It is, yeah. It's come out of nowhere, this series. It's, they were clever to do their 3-episode binge to sort of get up lots of hype online. And
there was a rumour that the BBC were planning to release 3 episodes every week, but because of the kind of social media presence that it caused when they aired it live, that they
it is better
changed
when
their
it's
mind.
live, because that's what was fun with The Circle, like watching it as everyone else did online. So, yes, it'll be good. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and they'll be releasing about 9:00, isn't it? 9:00. Do you think this is a good time for us to announce our social media tag so people can get in touch with us if they want to and
Should have done ages ago. I forgot all about it.
I mean, they can throw their theories at us by going to Twitter. Hopefully, it'll still be about when this comes out. At Traitors Podcast, and we have an email address as well. Can you remember the email address?
faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com.
That's it. faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. Get in
No
touch
one
with us.
uses email though. Just tweet us.
Give us your theories, your thoughts, what you love, what you hate.
Tell us if you think me and Alex are both faithfuls. Find out at the end of the series which one of us is or isn't.
Who's going to walk away with the money?
Well, there you go. So we're going to do a podcast for every episode of the Traitors from now on. Now that the binge box sets have finished.
So when episode 4 comes out, when episode 4 is aired on 9:00, the next episode will then come out the following day. So we'll be recording.
Subscribe, basically.
Subscribe, yeah. If you're listening on your favourite podcast app, I think we're on Spotify. Hopefully, we'll be on Apple and all those. And don't forget to give us a good review as well if you want us to keep going. And tell your friends. Tell your friends. Be a true faithful. Be a true faithful and
don't be a traitor. Don't like it. Well, there you go then. So that was the first episode of Faithful to the Traitors. And we will be back again in a few days to review episode 4.